Hello, dear students. Now I am starting the economics and marketing portion for your DFCCIL course. Okay, so the part which we are going to cover in this economics section will be general and managerial both, because the questions which are actually important with respect to your job uh, perspective, that will be very important for this managerial part also. Okay, so we are not only covering the general portion, like whatever you study for the SBI parts, for some banking portion, whatever you study, that comes under that general part. And for managerial economics, there is something more, like some extra concepts. Okay, so based on that, several questions are asked in various examinations. Okay, so let us start this. The very first part which we are going to study is what is the structure of economy and the human resources in India. See, before studying any economics portion, we have to be very first go through the resources which we are having currently. Okay, like you are also knowing that we got independence in 1947. So after that only our economy has been accelerated, or it has been started. Okay, before that we are not having any economy because we were under some different rule. Okay, and whatever the economy was there, it was under the Britishers. Okay, but if we are talking about the economy of India, then we have to study the parts after 1947. So now I need to tell you one basic difference between the word economy and economics. Okay, economy simply refers to a particular country or a particular region. For example, I can tell you Indian economy. We never say Indian economics. We say Indian economy. Okay, in the same manner, Japan economy, China's economy, USA economy. Okay, so economy is simply referred for a particular region, for a state, for a province. But economics, what exactly is economics is, it is simply a set of principles which are applied on a particular region. Okay, to boost up the flow of goods and money. Okay, so that is the scenario, and later on we will be discussing many of the important things which are important. Okay, so in our course, sir, what exactly we need to study? Do we need to study the economy, or we need to study the economics? So I can clear you in a very important sense that we need to study economics. That means we need to refer the set of principles which are actually applied, okay, for a particular region. So that will be in our syllabus. Okay, like when you will be seeing the syllabus of DFCCIL, you will get that word economics and marketing. Okay, so economics simply refers to a set of principles. So we need to only make ourselves study till the set of principles. Okay, we don't need to visualize the things, or we don't need to apply the things on a particular region, and we don't need to unnecessarily see the effect of applying those principle or the set of principles. Okay, so we don't need to do the experiment, simply we need to know the things, that's it. Okay, so the syllabus will be very concise. I will try to cover all those things in a very short duration of time, so that we can practice more and more question. Okay, we are not we are getting into so much depths, but yes, the thing is I will not leave anything. Okay, so that is the thing from my side. Now let's start. The word economics, it is simply originated from the Greek word oikonomics. Okay, oikos means home and nomos means management. So overall, what exactly economics means? Home management. Okay, economics is a study of how people and society end up choosing a particular thing. Okay, like if you are selecting a particular thing, so why you are selecting, what is the reason behind that? Okay, so corresponding to that, several set of rules are defined, various set of principles are defined, which are given by various people. Okay, and those set of principles and analysis are simply studied under economics. Okay, so with or without the use of money. Okay, you might be knowing that there are various several business deals which are even occur without any flow of money also, even in this pandemic period. what is happening, there are, yes, of course, there are various business proposals which are actually being made between many private companies without the flow of money. Okay, yes, they are having their own business strategies, but currently there is not a necessity that always the money will be flown in a particular economic region. Okay, so to employ scarce productive resources that could have alternative use to produce various commodities over time and distributing them for consumption. Okay, so that should be useful for consumption, or it should be useful for use. Okay, like it's not always be like we are going through a goods, it's not always necessary. Even apart from goods, we can even take the services also from the private companies. Okay, so we cannot consume the services. Okay, we can have the services. Okay, we can use the services. So the consumption will also include the use of services. Okay, now or in the future among various person or groups in the society. So this simply groups in society simply refers various private companies. Okay, so they, what exactly economics means is it is a study, okay, based on various set of principles. Okay, and why we are studying, they simply study how people and society end up choosing. Okay, like end up choosing or end up selecting a particular thing without the flow of money to employ scarce productive resources, like whatever the resources you are having, based on that how the behavior is changing in different regions. Okay, so that is the simply part, rest you can simply read it out. Okay, it analyzes cost and benefits of improving patterns of resource allocation. Of course, yes, these set of principles are only defined to always enhance the current patterns. That pattern can be even with respect to cost also, and it can be even with respect to the resources also. Okay, you might be knowing, like suppose if you are having five or six Apple tablets, okay, but you are only using one, so it is not a proper resource use now. So what you will be doing, you will be simply thinking of starting something else, or you will be simply planning to give this for rent. Okay, you can thought of that, even if it is simply getting into your own room. Okay, it is not producing anything, that six Apple tablets is not giving you anything. So if you want that it should be productive, you can simply think of renting those Apple tablets. So what will happen, even monthly 1000, 2000, or any resources that will, it will at least it will come to you. Okay, so that economics is also simply referring that how the cost and benefits can be improved from the current resources you are having. Okay, so overall we can now summarize this up. The term economy means that the state of country or region in terms of the production and consumption of goods and services and the supply of money. So this is the overall meaning of this. Okay, and this economy is simply defined for a particular region as mentioned in your definition. Now we are going to discuss about the type of economy. Okay, so from here various MCQs are actually asked. So at last of this PDF we will be solving always, even I'm telling you about this course. Okay, right now overall we will be solving 25 to 30 questions chapter wise. Okay, like whatever the chapter we will be including in the whole course, topic wise I am giving you 25 to 30 questions in the video lectures only. I'm not giving you the questions directly to your own hand. I will be solving here, proper videos will be there. Okay, now type of economy. So this I am dividing into three portions. One is socialist economy, one is mixed economy, and third is capitalist economy. Okay, mixed economy is simply the summation of both socialist and capitalist economy. Okay, now we are going to simply refer that how these economy differs and how they are actually maintained. In a socialist economy, social ownership of means of production. Social ownership means everything is in the hand of the government. Okay, social ownership means that in hands of government. Okay, like you cannot produce or you cannot start a particular service without taking the permission from the government, and whatever the government orders for your firm that you need to accept anyhow, otherwise they will be simply shutting your business down. Like in the recent time, you might have heard the case of Alibaba. Okay, so Alibaba company, okay, it has suffered a great loss, okay, just because Jack Ma has not supported the Chinese government in a conference. Okay, so if because he had not even supported the Chinese government, even he was underground for almost 2 months. Okay, even the news has came. Okay, so we are not actually knowing that what has happened, because Chinese government, even the media is in their own hand. So that is a kind of socialist economy. Even the media, everything, okay, all the businesses setups, everything comes under the social ownership. Okay, so the same situation was with USSR also, like currently in Russia also the same situation is there. But yes, their way of management is very good. Okay, in China somewhere the people, okay, they are now used to it, but yes, there is various advantages also for that, and various disadvantages is also for that. Okay, so later we will be discussing all those things. We will be studying various indexes based on different types of economy. Okay, next I need to tell you regarding the capitalist economy. So in capitalist economy, what happens, like government never interferes. Okay, like government had simply posted a set of rules, and corresponding to that, the private firms should simply start their business based on those set of rules, and the government will never interfere in their inside their business. Even government will not regulate the cost of their products and services. In the socialist economy, what happens, whatever the products you are selling or whatever the services you are offering, the cost will be even decided by the government. That means if you are having your company, you are not having any right to decide even the cost of your product. But in capitalist economy, like USA have a capitalist economy, UK is having, France is having, and many European countries are having the capitalist economy. So they never interfere in the business of their private firms. They give the full authority of regulating all the measures of their own business. Okay, but yes, they will simply tell that yes, these are our rules, you have to be abided by that, and you have to work with that rules only. That's it. Okay, so this is the capitalist economy. Now in India, what is happening, there is a kind of mixed economy. Like you will be finding some parts like a socialist and some parts like a capitalist. Like I'm simply giving you an example of railways. Okay, railway, like it is also a part of India. And even I can give you the example of a telecom industry. So telecom industry, it is totally private. Government never interfere that you should keep the charge of 1 GB for 20 rupees or 30 rupees. It's all upon the private firm which is regulating the cost of the data or for call in the telecom company. But in Indian Railways, what happens, the government has fixed the price, like for this to this distance, this particular amount will be charged. Okay, for that to that distance, this particular amount will be charged. This will be for general class, this will be for sleeper class, this will be for third AC, this will be for second AC, this will be for first AC. That's it. So it is regulated by the government. So that is known as mixed economy. If in a particular country, if you can find both kind of companies, like one is social ownership and one is the private ownership, so that is simply known as the mixed economy. So India constitute both kind of things. I had given the example in the mixed, okay, like it is combination of both socialist plus capitalist. Okay, so even I had given you the example of that, like Indian Railways. Okay, like DFCCIL also comes under this. But what happens, DFCCIL is like they had given many stakes, okay, to different private companies also to regulate that. But yes, the costing parts and these things are regulated by the government only. Okay, some of the operational parts are actually privatized. Next is the capitalist. I had even given the example of telecom companies, yes or no? So even you are finding both kind of companies, so that is only known as mixed. And this is simply further divided into three parts. One is public private ownership of industry, and inside this public private ownership of industry only your DFCCIL is actually working. Okay, so all these structures are very important to be known. Okay, even this is also known as triple P. Okay, you might have heard the name of triple P. So most of the people know that triple P only means public private partnership, okay, or ownership, but even there are some another abbreviations also for triple P that I will be going to discuss later. Okay, so you have to be very careful in the options. Okay, I will discuss all those. Next is market based allocations with economic planning. Okay, last is the market based allocation, like the allocations are provided with respect to the market. Okay, like if it is a village, okay, or if it is suppose a South India, so you will not be allocating that much wheat into that area. Okay, rather you will allocate rice in the South India, because the people of South India rice more than wheat. Okay, some another portion of India like Rajasthan, they are more used to with the wheat portion. Okay, so in that particular portion you will be allocating wheat more. Okay, so some market based allocations is also there from the government side. Okay, it's not only from the government side, even the private players are also involved in that. But the thing is market based, like wherever more demand will be there for a particular resource, you will be allocating according to that. Okay, like it will not be same for the whole region. Like in Indian Railways, what is happening, like if you are planning to travel in some like 500 kilometers in South India and 500 kilometers in North India, so in Indian Railways the cost of the same 500 kilometers will be same. It will not depend that whether you are traveling in North India or whether you are traveling in South India. But yes, some market based allocations is there, like in South India you will be allocating rice more, and in North India in the Rajasthan portion you will be allocating wheat more. Okay, so it is based upon the market. Somewhere the demands of mobiles are more, somewhere the demands of some physical your products are more. Okay, so according to that you will be allocating your products. Okay, and yes, of course these are regulated by the government also, but both are involved. Rest is free markets with state intervention. Like there are two types of government in India. One is central government and another one is state government. So there are several markets also where central government never interferes, but the things are actually being regulated by the state government, like the prices of petroleum. Okay, like from almost from every state. Okay, like the central government takes a particular percentage in the petroleum. Okay, but the state is having their own rights to regulate the price of petroleum products like diesel and petrol in their own states. Like you might be hearing in the news several times, like in Delhi the diesel price is 85 rupees or 80 rupees. In another places like in suppose Bihar and Jharkhand or in West Bengal, the petrol prices, or sorry, the diesel prices are 86 point something, 87 point something. So region wise region, what happens, the petrol and diesel prices differs. Why? Because of the state interventionism. Okay, because state interferes there. Like they don't consider the percentage taken by the central government, because it will be same for all the states. But to run the state government tries to fix the petroleum percentage, okay, which actually they take from the private players also. So that is actually regulated. They are free, the private players are free. Like I can tell you the Reliance Petroleum. Okay, Reliance Petroleum, it is a private player in the field of petroleum. Even the maximum economy of Reliance company is running on the petroleum products only. Okay, so what happens, this Reliance Petroleum is everywhere in your Indian states, but everywhere the prices are different. Why? They are giving the same percentage to the central government, but what happens in different states, the rules of state governments are different. They used to take different percentage into that. Okay, that's why the state interventionism is also there. So you have to be very thorough with the polity also here to understand the economy portion. So in between I will be telling you several other examples also. Okay, now let us go with the closed and the concept of closed and open economy. In a closed economy, no economic relation with the rest of the world is there. Like such countries, if suppose some country is said to be having a closed economy, that means they import least. It's not like that they never import anything, but they try to import as least as possible. Okay, like they are running their economy based on their own production, they never imports. India is not a closed economy. Previously, when it was during the independence, India was called a closed economy, but after 2000, okay, like 2001 and 2002, what happens, year by year the Indian economy is opening up, and nowadays like in 2020 or 2021, what is happening, it is totally becoming an open economy. Okay, like even the Modi government has introduced several different concepts through which even the foreign exchanges, the foreign monies are also coming here. Even the buy and sells are also becoming more famous. Even the share markets concept is becoming more famous nowadays. Like you might be hearing about the mutual funds and all. So all these concepts are becoming more famous. So this is making your economy more open. Okay, and what exactly is included here in open? You can buy and sell shares, debentures and bonds. That I will be discussing, that what are debentures and what are bonds when we will be studying the stock market portion. Okay, from or to the foreign countries. You can borrow and lend. Free movement of people can be there. Free flow of goods and services can be there, and maintain a bilateral and multilateral relationships. You might have focused Modi ji. Okay, he had visited almost all the countries. Okay, like in his very first 5 years. Okay, and you might have heard that many bilateral agreements were made between the countries. Okay, so those bilateral relationships and bilateral agreements actually making the economy more open. They are invited, like the government is inviting the foreign players to invest more in India. So that means the Indian economy is opening up for everyone. Okay, so that is the meaning of open. If you want to invest in Brazil, then Brazil don't allows that. Okay, like the very great example of this closed economy is Brazil. Previously India was also closed, but nowadays it is opened a lot. Okay, so nowadays I can give you the example of our own India. Okay, so I think you might have got this particular concept. Now I can tell you some silent features of Indian economy, where everything will be mentioned, that what is the current scenario. So the silent features of Indian economy include the following things. The very first thing is, we had already studied about the mixed economy. Okay, like both public and private enterprises can exist together. Okay, and from independence, this economic development of India has been guided by two objectives. Whatever the technological progressive economy has been built, it is actually built with that democratic means. Democratic means by you. Okay, by you all, the economy of India is building. Okay, like always the government will not be telling you that you should buy this particular thing, or you should consider this particular thing only into these things. Like if suppose you want to watch TV, so of course you have to purchase one. So government will not tell you that you should purchase only of Samsung. Okay, even you can purchase the Chinese products also, you can purchase the Japanese products also. It's all based upon you. Yeah, and you can even purchase the Indian products also. That's why this is a mixed economy, and the progress of this country is democratic, like it depends upon your decision. It does not depends upon the government. The government will not regulate your decisions. That is the importance of this. That's why China is much ahead right now. Like if they will tell that you have to buy the MI products only in China, so what will happen if the Chinese government is getting more taxes from MI company, then of course the government will prefer the MI company and it will be more beneficial for the country. But in India, it is not like that. The government cannot tell you to purchase the MI phones or MI TVs. Okay, it's all your choice, and that is the only reason that we prefer more foreign products. That's why nowadays the government is more focusing on made in India products, so that the progressiveness of your economy, of your country economy, the Indian economy should be high. And that is the only reason, even after the independence, after the 70-75 years of independence, we are not in that stage, but still we are in a very good position as compared to the others also. Next is the social orders based on justice, offering equal opportunity to every citizen of India. This is also very important. Like all these opportunities in other countries are not always offered. Like in Brazil, okay, in Brazil, what will happen? Not every citizen can do the business. Okay, not everybody can do the jobs. Okay, that's why the things are very different in different countries. Okay, in China, when you will be going, then they will tell you that what the work you need to do. You will not consider yourself that what work you want to do. So that is a difference, the very basic difference. So the very important thing is that there are several law and orders also based upon the markets. Okay, so that also I will be telling you some things in the brief, but I will not get that much into the deep. But yes, for once you have to be very convenient with all these points. Second is low per capita income. Per capita income is nothing like whatever the overall GDP of your country is there, divided by the number of population of your country. Okay, and in and in per capita income, the value is very less for India. Okay, and it is ranging in 2020, like the data of 2021 has not came yet. Okay, but the 2020 data is already there, and it is $1,877. Okay, in 1 year. Of course, the GDP will be calculated like that, but if monthly I can tell you, then it will be ranging along I think 11,300 rupees. Okay, per month. So this is the per capita income of the people of India. That means the people are earning like this according to the GDP of India. Okay, but always, sir, why we are comparing with respect to GDP? So all those things are we will be discussing later on. Okay, and why GDP, why not GNP? There are various other terms also. Okay, and what are the disadvantages of considering this index? This is a kind of index. Per capita income is nothing. It is a kind of index, and how income is calculated, what exactly is income, what you have to consider, what you have to neglect, everything is there. Okay, now India is the fifth largest economy of the world right now. Okay, you might be knowing this, so this data is also an important part, because the vacancy for which you are currently filling right now, it is operations and BD. BD means business development. So in this particular course, I will assure that I will of course build you a very basic knowledge of this business development portion. Okay, so let's simply take the advantage of that, and I just simply want that that you should all get selected. One more thing, my batches will be like very less, like I cannot permit more than 30 students in my batch. Okay, like I'm not here to do the business, frankly speaking. I'm only considering very few people. Okay, next is, but due to its huge population of more than 1.5 billion, India is at 129th position in terms of GDP per capita. That is also very important part. Sir, what exactly is this? Yes, so one very important part, that why the per capita income of India is very less. So the very important reason for this particular thing is your Indian population, because this per capita income is simply defined by what? GDP upon population. Okay, So by default, when denominator increases, like if population will increase, then by default the per capita income will decrease. Okay, so it is simply the mathematical inverse relation. That's it. Okay, so this is also a reason. Okay, in other countries the population is much lesser than India, and that's why they stood at a lower position, or as you can say that at very good positions as compared to India. It's not like that India is way behind those countries. In terms of GDP, you can see that it is at the 5th position. But even when you will be seeing India on this particular index, that is per capita income, you can see that India is at 129th position. Why? The answer is population. Population is very large. It's not like only one arrow I can draw. I can draw 4 arrows. Okay, even the population, it is like, just like continents, more than 2 or 3 continents, the population is like this. Okay, so the things you have to consider like this. Sir, why China stood better than India? Because their GDP is also very high, okay, as compared to India. So their factor is this also. Population is almost comparable. Nowadays, even I can consider right now in 2021, I think the population of India is even greater than China. Okay, because they had adopted various measures to control the population. Even India is now also, having various measures to control the population, because you can now see that how population can affect this economy more. And even Modi ji, okay, he will be simply focusing on the economy also, and if population is affecting in that, then he can do anything. Okay, frankly I am telling you. So that's why various measures are also adopted nowadays, and in future various measures will also be taken. Like you will, like the government will tell you that you will not be provided the government job if you will be having more than 2 children. So yes, all these things are simply implemented by the government to control the population. Okay, now per capita income of India is 5.18 times lower than the world's average around of this. So this is the world's average. Sir, what is the highest? As per my knowledge, I think it is your dollars. In terms of dollars, I think it is 18,900 something. Okay, I'm not exactly having the accurate data, but yes, it is the highest per capita income is almost about this. Okay, this is the average, and even India is having 5.18 times lesser as compared to this. Okay, so all these things factors are there. India is at 31st position in the list of Asian countries. So if from here, from this particular point, from these 2 points, the question can be asked that what is the current position of India in terms of GDP per capita. Okay, one-liner questions are there. And in Asian countries, what is the current position? Okay, next is the dominance of agriculture and heavy population pressure on agriculture. See, in India, later on I will be explaining everything, but for now, in brief, I can tell you, because the population is very high, not everybody can do the job. Okay, like how many jobs will be there if the population is 140 crores? Okay, and maximum, I can tell you, maximum to maximum in the whole nation, you can create 10 crores job, even if 10 to 15 crores job, even if your effectiveness and efficiency will be very high. But what after this? What about the other people? Where they will be moving? Some will go into the politics, some will go into some other ways, some will fly abroad. But what will happen to others? See, now what I can tell you is they will move towards the agriculture portion, and that is, even population is not only affecting various indexes. See, what we need to do with the indexes, we are not getting anything like if we are at 129th position in terms of GDP per capita, it doesn't mean that we are behind the other countries. Okay, it's simply a kind of index. It's not nothing like, even I can make one kind of index where US will fall even at more than 150th position, but they will never show. Okay, that is a dominating continent, that is dominating country, that will not let it happen. Okay, so there are various indexes, that is not a measure of a particular, or not a measure of defining a particular country. Okay, it's simply an index, that's it. Okay, but yes, population is having a very great effect on the agriculture sector also, because after these many jobs, somehow if suppose these jobs are allotted, then what will happen to others? They will of course move towards the agriculture side. And that is the only reason in India 65 to 70% people are from the agriculture sector. Okay, later on I will give you the exact data also, and how they are contributing to the economy. Your economy is controlled by only those 5% people who are in the private sectors. Okay, but the population of or the main population, the major population is actually getting towards the agriculture, and because the dominance of agriculture is more, and even your like it is not giving you that much economy to your country also. Okay, like it is giving only 18% of, or it is giving you only 18% of your economy, and 65 to 70% peoples are involved in that. That means somewhere there is an issue, and where is the issue? Population is the issue. And that is the only reason that day by day heavy population is pressurizing on the agricultural side also. And that is the only reason also this government is also somehow focusing for the agriculture part, but the implementation is not good. They are thinking, but the implementation is not good. Like whatever the decision taken by this government, it is just like an immature. Okay, that's it. This is true. Okay, like they simply announces the things. It's simply you can get very good response from the people. It's simply like it sounds very good, but upon implementation it is not very good. Okay, the management part is worst. So in India, almost 60 to 70% of the total population still resides in rural areas, and hence they depend on agriculture for their livelihood. So that this is the issue, and this is just because of population. Next, what I can tell you is very important part. Then one more thing is there. This is triple P. This GDP is also calculated at triple P, that is purchasing power parity. This is also important. Okay, so mark this particular thing. Allows for economists to compare the economic productivity and standard of living between countries. Okay, so GDP at triple P may give you some significance, but that per capita income index will not simply gives you that significance as this. Okay, so this purchasing power parity allows for economists to compare economic productivity and standard of living between the countries. Some countries adjust their gross domestic products figures to reflect triple P, like all those, like Germany, like USA, all these things, all these countries are actually adjust their GDPs according to this thing. Okay, so all these things are there, but I will not get into that much deeper. Okay, that will not be beneficial to you. Simply you have to know the uppercut things. Okay, next is overpopulation, that I had already discussed. You can simply read this particular part. Unbalanced economic development. Yes, the economic development is undeveloped. There are various reasons, like all the financial institutions which are there currently in India, they are not working accordingly. Okay, like there are various things which had or which has to be implemented, but they had not been implemented to them. Even it's just because of some politics roles also. But yes, I will tell you all these things later when I will be telling you that some banking portions. Okay, so you can study this part also. Like here they will be telling you 64% of the total labor force is dependent upon agriculture, 16% on industry, and rest 20% on trade, transport, and other services. Okay, so this is not a balanced part. Okay, when what happens if suppose somehow this 64% will be in problem, okay, then what will happen? Like like other countries can even not help these agriculture people. That is the only reason that all your farmers are very alone. Okay, when we are seeing personally, if you when you will be thinking about them personally, then you will feel them that they are all alone. No one can do anything. That is the only reason. This is known as the unbalanced economic situation. No one can help. Why? Because they are having a majority of population. Okay, if suppose 35% will be in agriculture side, 35% will be in industries, 30% will be in trade, transport and other services, then yes, it is a kind of unbalanced economic development. Okay, so all these things are there. Low rate of capital formation. What is the meaning of low rate of capital formation? You can simply read all this. Another basic characteristic of Indian economy is that existence of capital deficiency, which is reflected in two ways. Firstly, the amount of capital per head available is low. That is, yes, capital per head available is very low, low capita income. And secondly, the current rate of capital formation is also low. And that is simply because of the government is not interfering. Here, the role of socialist government comes into play. Like if suppose in such things, if government has intervened, of course the economy of India has boosted. But according to our law and order, according to our constitution, the things are little bit different. Okay, so yes, somewhere we cannot blame these things, but it is somewhere it will be advantageous to you because you are living in a very great freedom. Okay, in other countries you will not get this much freedom as you are getting here. Okay, so everything is having an advantage, everything is having a disadvantage also. In US also, not everyone is happy. Even the rate of suicides are very high in the foreign nations. Okay. Seventh one, lack of infrastructure facility. Yes, of course, the lack of infrastructure facilities is also not that much matured here. So in everything, in all the aspects, but yes, even our government right now is focusing on infrastructure. They are more focusing on infrastructure, okay, rather than your educational and medical facilities. Okay, so that is also a part. Like Modi ji has simply, I think, read these 8 points, and overall he had came into the conclusion that he had to improve the economy of India and he have to enhance the infrastructure facilities also, but not in education and medical. Okay, it's just like that. Now, eighth, poor economic organization. Another important feature of the Indian economy is poor economic organization. Certain institutions necessary for economic development are not adequately developed. That's the point which I was telling. Like this unbalanced economic development, it is having the main role from here also. Like whatever the economic organization that I will be discussing later in the videos. Okay, so they are not adequately developed. That is an important part. Okay, so for instance, to mobilize saving and more especially the savings of the rural sector, because why rural sector we are focusing? Because the 65 to 70% people are involved here of the whole population. The creation and development of financial institutions is essential. Like that is the only reason. That's why the nationalizations of banks were done when Indira Gandhi was your prime minister. Okay, so that time also, even all such things were very important because we need to think of those rural sector peoples also. Nationalization of banks, what has happened that time? Simply when suppose India was China has simply given a kind of war that time. The situation of India was very worst at the time of that 1965 to the period of 1975. Okay, the rural sector peoples were affected the most, and that's why even no one was helping. Who will help? Even the people who will lend the money, they will also believe that if I am giving the money to someone, he will not be able to repay that. So that's why no one was even giving the money to the needy ones, the rural sector peoples. So that's why the government has overtaken the banks also. Okay, and they had simply given various rules that you have to help the rural people. Okay, so but even the things were implemented, but they are not even currently working efficiently. Okay, but let's see what happens. India suffers from inadequacy of financial institutions in rural areas. Yes, that is true. In urban areas, it is of course very developed, but in rural areas, not everyone is getting benefited from that who are actually the needy ones. Okay, similarly, India being a country of large number of small farmers, the development of certain agencies of credit for granting loans to farmer on easy terms is needed. That only I was telling. Okay, that is the only reason why your banks were nationalized. Nationalized means they are like the 50 more than 50% stakes are taken by the government, so that the government should take the decision, not the banks, because banks will never want that they should give money to such people who cannot return it. But if government will be having the authority to take the decision, of course they can help. Okay. Likewise, to provide medium and long-term loans to industries for the development of industrial finance corporation. That's why your ICICI has been formed. Okay, to support the industries is quite necessary. There is a great scarcity of skilled and efficient administrators and managers. Okay, so yes, this is also kind of thing, but nowadays India is very developed in all these things. Okay, so that was all about these points. So the next points we will be discussing in the next lecture. Let us see.